Hello and welcome to the show. I am back on BeamNG Drive, taking more of your automation cars around our autocross course. We start with a fairly mighty diffuser. Not sure how it's built, but it's not even a kind of mod part for this because it was a car I had to export. So it's an interesting diffuser going on at the back. No crazy mighty wings on this, but we start with a car from Alexander. This is the AUDATA 2. It is a rear-wheel drive, turbocharged i5 vehicle, 340 horsepower, just shy of 300 torque, which is pretty good engine-wise. It is a little bit on the heavier side at just over 1,000 kilos, which is kind of what we've been seeing from a few cars. It is rear-wheel drive. I was just seeing the brakes are massive on this, which is good. The tyres are massive. It's got push-rod suspension at the back. We might have some wheel wobble. I guess we will have to see how that goes. If it's got the traction and the control, oh, okay, there's quite a lot of wheel spin. If we have got the control, I mean, the rear-wheel drive record might be a potential. It might be a potential. It's always very difficult with these cars, of course. Trying to carry speed, make lap time, essentially, without doing something very stupid. A lot of them, well, funnily enough, will want to oversteer as you jump on the throttle. It's actually doing pretty well so far. I'm liking... We've had a couple of them that are just very well balanced, and this does seem to be working nicely. There is no big wheel vibrations from the car. I think all-wheel drive certainly doesn't help with the wheel vibrations. There is none though through some of these faster corners. Slow it down for this fiddly section. It feels pretty quick. It feels pretty quick. Of course, through the actual turns, there will be no downsides. If anything, it'll be perhaps slightly advantageous being rear-wheel drive. Oh, up towards the 80-mile-an-hour mark. Wasn't the best run down the straight, I will be honest. Yeah, through the actual turns, of course, yeah, there won't be any downside. Although this is still, a bit heavier than some of the all-wheel drive cars that we have seen. So ultimately, you've got that more weight to be lugged through the corner. What are we going to see for an opening? It's not bad. It's not bad. 24.3. We are looking for a 21 if we are going to be going towards the fastest of the rear-wheel drive cars. Still, as a first run, it's not too bad. I think the table wing Porsche is rear-wheel drive up in about 22s. So if we can be getting up towards that, we need a little bit more time from the car. As I'm going to now try and be, as ever, when you start trying to be that little bit more aggressive with the car, that's when you're going to see the oversteer kick in. Gears are very nice in this car. The gear ratios are pretty good. I was trying first. First doesn't really work. Second will probably do the job. There's enough power. There's enough sort of throttle response from these lower RPMs to get the car out of the corner. That's a very big slide that we don't. It's controlled. It is nicely controllable. It is very nicely controllable. However, you're going to be losing time. We don't really want the car to be doing that if you can help it. Again, it's kind of just patience and wait, and we can't really get on the power actually through all of that. There's nothing massively wrong, nothing sort of stand out terrible about the vehicle. We're gonna wobble a little bit down the straight as I try and get to pull over. We have seen that a little bit with cars as you're trying to accelerate away there. It can't be wheel spin. I think it's very unlikely to be wheel spin in this car, certainly with the size tyres and the general traction it's got going on. So I think I just let slight course corrections as you are accelerating away. Yeah, it's not a better run, that one. 25.6 from the car. Okay. Less oversteer. Less oversteer is good. It also does make a slight clunking sound when you drop it down. I'm hoping it's just the clunking on the ground. I hope nothing's breaking. As far as I can tell, it's not breaking anything when it's dropping the car. One vehicle we did have that lost a tyre every time you dropped it down because the tyres were silly sizes. So that finished did all of its runs on 3 tyres because you couldn't stop it from being dropped down and puncturing a tyre. So yeah, it's a little disconcerting having a crashing sound from the car, but I don't think it's anything. Like suspension wise, We've seen quite a few cars with a lot of body roll. We've seen quite a few cars with it's got ultra stiff. But I was wondering why the crashing sound might be because this car's ultra stiff, but it's not really. There's a little bit of compliance. In general, it's a fun sports car. In general, it's just a good fun sports car. It might just be I know it's strange when you talk about what would be a very light car in reality, but in this series it is perhaps just a smidge too heavy, just a teensy bit too heavy to really set the seriously fast times. Oh, it's still a little bit wandery down the straights. I don't know what causes it either. Like this has got massive tyres, it's just a sensible car, and it still is a little bit on the wandery side. I've built a few cars that'll do it as well, varying sorts of vehicles even that do it. It's just a slight bit disconcerting coming towards a braking zone. I mean, this feels like a good run. Is it going to be better? It's around about the same. I can't really go much faster. It felt like a good run. Felt like a good run. Fairly consistent, bar a big oversteer moment costing that second run. Yeah, it's a very, very nice car to drive. Very nice car to drive. Good fun, well planted. A little bit of oversteer if you're a bit of a muppet with the throttle. The engine's nice. Just couldn't really get any more speed out of it. Still though, for a rear-wheel drive car, the 24s are not bad going. Our next vehicle comes from Scott CS. This is called RAZER. There is not a big piercing beak, etc., but it has got a V10. This is all-wheel drive, 242 horsepower, 148 torque. We have seen the V10s actually do tend to struggle with the old torque. Big tyres, push rod suspension. They are not semi-slick tyres, so we're going to be struggling to go sub-120s when you're not on the semi-slick tyres. It is fairly light, at least, at 823 kilos. So, yeah, without the tyres, it might be. It sounds good. It's a very, very high revving V10. But, yeah, I mean, the tyres... This is actually very, very good grip. For a non-semi-slick car, this might be one of the better handling ones. It's actually getting change direction very, very well. Like, ultimately, of course, you are going to be limited by what you can do in terms of... The tyres are so very important. We talked about this a little bit last time. Tyres, of course, are so fundamentally important when it comes to something like this. However, with a good car setup, a nice light car, this might actually... I haven't tracked what's the fastest car not on full race tyres, as race tyres as you can get from automation. This is already feeling like one of the best. So many cars have had big trouble trying to just even turn. Like some of them have even stopping has been a difficulty for them. This is mighty, mighty impressive as we head down the back straight. I mean, it makes a glorious noise, and it's actually pretty fast down that back straight as well, considering power and torque-wise, we are a little bit down. It's because it's light. It's because, I say it's light, it's 200 kilos lighter than the last car. 800 kilos is about, where we're seeing a lot of the fast cars. If you can get it into the 700 kilos, you're doing well. Yeah, it will match the speed of the AUDATA. I've actually beat it by a little fraction. I think there is more in that car for the tyres. That's not bad going. I think acceleration is always going to... Well, I say it's always going to be struggling. Perhaps in between the corners we might be a little down. I don't know. It's what I was kind of expecting that first run to be a smidge quicker, because just driving-wise it does actually feel pretty damn solid. Judging speed, I've found judging speed around this course is so difficult, especially when you are chopping and changing and swapping cars constantly. Your kind of only frame of reference is in many ways the last car that run, and yeah, some cars do deceive you with the amount of speed that it feels like they can take through some of the corners. I'd say it's a little bit of a wonk here. We got away with it. We got away with all of that, and we will up here as well. Run the car out wide on the exit. Again, this is certainly another car, whether it goes quick or not, this is another car that is being immense fun to drive. I very much like it. And, of course, it has a great soundtrack. The power delivery is there. We're not having to worry. Gear ratios are spot on with what you want. And it's another 80 miles an hour down here. Can't quite pull it up in time. The brakes are barely getting warm around this course. Come on car. We are fine around that long turn. One more big stop for you on this run. Maybe a little late, or you can get away with that late apex. Kind of get a good run off of the turn. Camera's kind of fixed itself at a wonky angle. Camera didn't massively help, but we were, again, we're doing... How am I doing carbon? I mean, these are two very, very different cars, and I'm managing to do carbon copies of the runs. I mean, I was a little bit late on the brakes in a couple of places. I'm not sure, because the other thing when you get to this stage, where am I going to find time with this car? Where am I actually going to find lap speed? Because both of those runs were pretty good. There was no, you know, big glaring obvious mistakes. I was a little late on the brakes on that second run, which is probably where some of that time went. So now, where are we going to find time? Where are we going to be able to make up that time? Through these corners? Oh god, we're turning got away with it. We did get away with it. Yeah, through these corners we are ultimately limited by what the tyres are going to be capable of doing. Certainly no worse than, well, quite a few of the cars that have gone, but maybe we're losing a little bit through there. I don't know, it does feel very quick. It does feel very quick around here. Maybe that's just a case of what I was expecting, the understeery boat I was expecting to be given when you see it not on the full race tyres. Here we go, onto the back straight once more. Can we crack 81 miles an hour? We did get to 82 and we will actually get it stopped. That was more like it. That was actually a good run. Good run onto that back straight. Careful with the banking. It just pulls the car into the corner. You got it pretty much how you wanted it though. Through there. I was a little early on the brakes down there this time. Got down late last time. Early this time. We are still around the corner. So wiggle towards the line. It's no better again. We were first run. Yeah, just got the hairpin a little bit wonky. Very nice driving car. And I will say, of the vehicles run on the non-semi-slick tyres, on road tyres, that has been the best handling. That has been the best handling. Might not be the fastest, some might have gone faster, which is more brute force, but handling-wise, that is a very, very nice car to drive. Very well done for a vehicle without the full accompaniment of race tyres. Just couldn't get any more speed out of the car. We certainly have a rather interesting looking car. Up next, this comes from MANNELA. It is the MANNELA FRX. Apparently it does a little bounce, does a little dance if we wiggle the stick. It's an excited car, this one. Rear-wheel drive. So we'll have another attempt at getting a quick rear-wheel drive car. Turbocharged i6 in this, just shy of 300 horsepower, a little over 200 torque. We have not got push-rod suspension in this. It looks like McPherson, Strunt, and Multi-Link, perhaps? Around on this. Okay, interesting suspension configuration. It is still fairly light, 931 kilos, not quite as light as the RAZER, but yeah, still not doing too bad. It's a bigger cutlass in general, wheelbase and so on. It is a little bit longer. I don't know whether we're going to see oversteery. There's always the concern with the rear-wheel drive cars. You're going to get mega oversteery. Oh, the diff seems a little bit interesting on the back. Again, this looks more like a normal, sensible, everyday sports car that does happen to have some semi-slick tyres stuck on it. It looks like a... Whoa, there we go. There's some of the oversteer coming in. It does, yeah, look the part. As I said, it's an interesting car. It looks probably better than most things I designed, but it looks like a normal kind of sports hatchback, possibly. That has turned up to an autocross competition. It happens to be rear-wheel drive. We're going to be wiggly. It's not too much. It's kind of lively without being uncontrollable. I can live with that. Again, we've had some really fun cars to drive today. So far, all three have been entertainment in their own right. They've not been difficult to drive. They've not been something that I've just disliked driving. Some cars can be. We're going to go up towards... It's not quite as fast down there. I think we were too sideways coming onto the straight to really be going that fast down there. We're going to get some big wheel spin. I clipped the... Oh, poor car. That's... is that the wheel? Oh! That was the smallest of clips, but it was enough. It was enough, and on 3 wheels we will cross the line into 130. Bugger. I mean, it wasn't exactly going to be setting records, and before I took the wheel off, but taking the wheel off doesn't help. Funnily enough, taking the wheel off doesn't particularly help. That's actually the cleanest. That is the cleanest and least kind of spectacular crash we've done on this course. We've had many crashes around the place. Normally they're a lot more kind of heavily damaging to the car. Normally the wheels stay connected and just flap around and get in the way. Wheel picking off is actually relatively good. The G-force graph is having a massive fit. I don't quite know why it's zigzagging. Something weird's obviously going on with the car to be doing that. Maybe something weird in the suspension? I don't know, who knows. It doesn't drive like that, at least. So there is... Yeah, it doesn't drive like there's anything massively weird going on in the vehicle. This is another car that I want to do a race series with. As I said, there has been a few of them that I just think are excellent, fun sports cars. Maybe not perfectly suited to autocross. Ultimately, yeah, the fastest cars for the autocross have been very short wheelbases, or got to be all-wheel drive really around here. Short wheelbases, high power, often difficult to drive. This thing is just fun. This thing is just fun, and I think it's still going to set up pretty. I think we're going to have another car in around the 24s area. Maybe a touch slower. It is wasting a little bit more time with the old oversteer. But it's just a nice, easy car to place where you want it, and if it does go sideways, easy enough to catch. It is going to be another 24. Hey, we pinged another wheel off. How do we keep pinging wheels off? What did you do? Did you not get the proper wheel nuts, the sort of the proper bolts and so on for the wheel assemblies, and it's just going to ping off? I did think it had some small brakes. It's not got the largest brakes, but there's certainly no braking issues with this car. Yeah, okay, so the G-force graph is weirdly broken with this. It's like one extreme constantly. Because that was even before the car started moving, and it was at one extreme constantly. Not sure about the blue wheels. I think that's about the only thing I've found that I'm not enjoying. Well, I say I'm not enjoying with the car. I don't see them most of the time. Yeah, not sold on the blue wheels. Otherwise, I very much like the vehicle. We're going to do don't do a expression session in the middle of an autocross run. It would be easy to. Whoa, there we go. Stop it. It's kind of one of those things. I know it's going to cost me so much time. It's kind of tempting. Because the car also is very happy to do it. It's one of the most, certainly for a rear-wheel drive car, of the automation cars, it's one of the happiest I've had to go sideways, but only a little bit. It's like nicely controlled sideways. I just see the brakes. It's not even got vented. It doesn't. Well, you probably don't need vented discs outside of the very fastest car. Something like this is never going to get the brakes hot enough. It isn't using vented or carbon ceramics or anything like that in terms of the brakes. It's just a solid, excellent sports car. We're around the roundabout for the final time. Oh, I got wheel spin. That's twice with this car we managed to ping it in that wall. I can't free it either. That's going to be wedged. I just got wheel spin as I dumped the throttle. I thought we were good to go to fire it through here, and didn't. I'm not sure. I don't think we're going fast. I think we were spending too long sideways on that run, annoyingly. Hey, we have pulled the car free. Every time the wheel has pinged off in like one complete... That's quite impressive as well, because we've barely seen that from anything, let alone every time with it. That is a brilliant car. I mean, we're still not going to be the slowest car, even having got it stuck on the pillar. Excellent car indeed. The final vehicle to run through the course today comes from Venom34. This is the RAZER FALKEN. It is all-wheel drive, turbocharged i3. We haven't seen too many i3s run in this. 386 horsepower, 344 torque, weighs 900 kilos, push-rod suspension, massive tyres. Stands a good potential of going quick. If it's got the grip, if it's got the composure, we could see a very far... I would expect it to go quicker than the 124s, shall we say. If we've got sensible gear ratios, it's the tiny wheelbase car. We've seen this body style being used to good effect. My Kestrel was its body style. We've seen, various ones used to good effect. I mean, this has got the traction you want. minorly concerned about the wheels, but they do seem to be behaving themselves at the moment. Second gear is good for acceleration zones. Quite short on the gear ratios, because you do want them to be short to an extent, but we've seen a lot of cars with sort of overly short gear ratios. This is certainly working around here. Come on, get the front end turned in. Yeah, they're just doing the ever so slight judder from the car, but it's not giving me grief in terms of driving. The brakes seem to be reliable. What are we going to see down this back straight? Oh, got a little bit of understeer mid-corner. Okay, straight line speed. What are we going to get out of the Falcon? It is up towards the 90 mile an hour mark. Again, it's not the very quickest. We have seen cars over 100 down there, but ultimately straight line speed is less important. It's the composure that goes with it. You need a little bit of acceleration, and that's still up there with the faster cars. It's looking pretty good for a first run. It is going to be, yeah, an 18.5 on a first run for the car. A couple of little mistakes, a couple of little errors. We can definitely go quicker. Don't know if we can quite get it down to the 16s, although fair when it comes to cars, you never... The cars that have run in the 16s, it wasn't sure that they could be, and then it just kind of happens. Off the line, it says. So first gear is almost useless. If I could start it in second. Oh, there was a little bit of shake. It's the wheel hop as you, with these massive tyres, and especially with the push rod suspension, as they skid across the road and they're trying to find grip. That's when it gets into some trouble. However, the car is finding plenty of grip through here without any issues. We will power our way down towards this next set. It's really strange having gone from three very similar cars in terms of pace, in terms of speed. While they all drove differently, they all got their speed, I guess, perhaps a slightly different way. When you go from running 24s to running a car like this, that is, I mean, it's a fairly damn serious contender. Everything's, yeah, that little bit more brutal. Here we go, onto the back straight we go. Little bit of wheel spin. Cameron struggling to keep up with the car. That was 90 miles an hour as we jump on the brakes. Use the banking, help turn the car through all of that. And again, on the power we go. That's up to 75 miles an hour down this next straight. It's seriously quick. What are we doing lap time wise through here? You just don't have time to look at the actual run times. We're into the 17s. There's another second found. We would need to find a second and a half on this final run, and that is asking quite a bloody lot. Which finding a second and a half in general is asking a lot of anything. But when you're already in the 17s, I'm not sure where we're going to find it. I'm not sure where we're going to find it, but I'm going to give it a damn good try. Yeah, second gear is working here. It's nice to have a car like this where there is... Again, it's been an episode of fun cars to drive. This thing is brutally fast, but it's not horrendous. It's not got weird braking issues. You've not got to deal with something strange going on in the car. It's nice having four fun, different and interesting cars to drive, and in this case here, bloody fast. You can see the grip, the speed that is taking through there. If I'd done that corner at 45 miles an hour with most cars, we would have been out wide into the concrete barriers on the exit. I mean, some of the cars are doing like 42, but 3 miles an hour at that corner is a big thing. Like 3 mile an hour different in sort of speed that they can take through there is a pretty bloody big thing. And here we go, we've seen cars struggling about 38 miles an hour sometimes through there. So, yeah, you get the idea of the speed. I think this run's not quite going to plan. We weren't as fast down that back straight as we had been before. It's just a little bit scruffy in places, unless I've been monstrously good through some corners. Oh, there's a little bit of a judder going on, and that's the first time I've actually seen that little bit of a judder from the car. The camera's also got stuck again. I don't know why. It was quicker. I don't know where on earth that speed came from. We're into the 16s with the Falcon. That did not feel like a quick run. That felt a bit scruffy in places. Apparently it wasn't, though. That was a damn good speed through all that. We got the first kind of real sign of any shaking on that big braking zone. Interestingly, the brakes aren't massive on this car. Curious. We have tended to see, I mean, much larger. We've had some cars with small brakes having issues. Then the back brakes on this car are pretty tiny. They are not the beefiest of brakes. However, they certainly did their job. I wouldn't have thought, or paid much attention. I mean, I say much attention to them. They worked absolutely as I'd want them to, so I wouldn't have really checked. That's a very, very fast car. That is a very, very fast car indeed, and becomes one of the very few so far to make it into the 116s. On to the leaderboard, and we have a new third place car. The Falken would go into third, as I said, only the third car to make it into the 116s, narrowly beating out the MDR, RX, the LLA, etc. It is a little bit down on the Fireball. I think ultimately perhaps the Fireball's speed it could take through the corners was unbelievable, and as good as the Falken is, I think the Fireball was just that little bit better through the corners, and that is what made the difference in the end. But still, yeah, getting into the 16s, very, very good going indeed. We have to go a little bit further down to find the rest of the vehicles in today's episode. They were all very, very close together. The RAZER, that would go into a 65th place at 24.3. As I said, that's not bad for a car on road tyres. Ultimately, yeah, sure, it's down on plenty of the all-wheel drive cars, but on normal road tyres, a 24.3, and the way it drove as well is very, very nice. The AUDATA will go into a 67th place, not that far down the road, another 24.3. It's stupid close part of the table here. Good time for a rear-wheel drive car, beats the RD Motorsport. Yeah, it is sort of 2 or 3 seconds down on some of the fastest rear-wheel drive cars, but it's still pretty fast at the end of the day. And the MANNELA FRX, that is down in a 71st place, another 24, this time a 24.9. A lot of fun to drive, quite a lively car, perhaps a little bit big ultimately for the autocross course, but excellent fun to drive, and in some ways that's the more important part. That though is going to be it for this video. Thank you very much for watching, and until next time, goodbye.